Okay, so when was this? 2012, I met this person, and yeah, like now that I think about it, like I've met so many, you know, reptile hybrids in my day. It's kind of funny. Just like, well, just like my sister, she met somebody and she's still good friends with her, and she's like 6'3", and my sister I think is more of like, you know, she probably is more of a Nordic than reptile hybrid. And so funny how she would meet another, you know, Nordic hybrid. But in my day, I've met a lot of psycho reptile hybrids. And that woman her name was, well, maybe I shouldn't say her name, but, so I met her around 2012, and I helped her move. And, god dang it, why does that keep coming on? And, so I helped her move, and, oh yeah, well actually, she told me this story before I went over there to help her move, but, so she was about to, well, she was already kind of enlightened, you know, to about a lot of things, chemtrails, and she was already enlightened about, like, just about everything, except, right at the time I met her, she was beginning to be enlightened about the entities in her life. Because that's pretty much how it starts. Normally you'll become enlightened about the medical system, and then spirits, ghosts, but then at that time, you know, you don't realize they're aliens until later on. Or actually, medical stuff, and then you become enlightened about, you know, other things, Matrix, and, you know, government crap, and chemtrails, and all that. And then alien ghost stuff after that. Well, actually ghost spirit stuff, and then alien stuff. Maybe not in that exact order. But, okay, so, but yeah, that's the pattern with a lot of people, because you could tell they'll become enlightened about medical stuff, and then sometimes they won't become enlightened about anything else. And then some people will go on to enlighten about, you know, the aliens in their life, and the entities in their life. Okay, so right as I met her, like I say, her enlightenment started when, when she first started to enlighten, it was several years before I met her, and she lived in New York City, and she worked for Hollywood. She was she was like a painter, like an artist. So she was behind the scenes, and I guess she just started to feel all the demonic energies and stuff, and that's why she acted like anyway. I don't know, she just, I forgot the word she used and stuff, but that's when she started to enlighten, and it probably freaked her out, to tell you the truth. That may be why she said she made about $100,000, which I guess that wouldn't be a whole lot in New York City, but I don't think she did it very long, maybe 2 or 3 years or something like that. But yeah, so she was behind the scenes, and she did some artist painting type of stuff. And so that's when she, you know, started to enlighten. And then many years later, she was already pretty enlightened, except she was just beginning to be enlightened about the aliens and entities in her life. And it's kind of funny. She somehow knew that I was, you know, a reptile hybrid, and I think she knew that, you know, I knew that she was as well. And yeah, but some of these bitches, man, they just have this very, very hateful, I don't know, just because that one woman was like that too, Cindy, and I know she was a demonic bitch. And the funny thing is, some of these people, year after year after year, they just become more possessed and more demonic and more possessed and more demonic. Because when I saw her in 2010 at the bookstore, and I hadn't really dealt with her since 2004, and then I saw her in 2010, oh, she looked like just a million times more demonic and possessed and everything. But this woman that I'm talking about, that worked for Hollywood, she just still kind of had this real hateful side to her or whatever. But she, you know, wasn't quite like the Cindy woman. But yeah, I mean, sometimes we would talk on the phone, and this woman, you know, that worked for Hollywood or whatever, she would get, I don't know, she got kind of psycho with me, and I don't even know. Oh, you know, I forgot. The other thing, she was an alcoholic, so that would make sense. So yeah, so we were talking on the phone one time, and I don't know, she just, I don't know how it began. She just started shit or something, but they become really evil, especially when they drink or whatever. And like I say, she was an alcoholic. I think she was a beer alcoholic, though. But she loved animals and everything. But I just met her in a weird way, and I helped her move and everything. And we talked on the phone a little bit, and like I say, we talked about a lot of enlightenment things. And like I say, just at that time, she was starting to become enlightened, you know, about the entities in her life, because she hadn't been, you know, previously enlightened about the entities in her life. Because one time, I think, no, because she's never been in my house. I've been over there, that rental house, when I helped her move. Yeah, so this must have been on the phone, and she was like I say, they just have this real hateful crap about him. But she was like, I think there's like entities messing with me, you know, in the night, in the morning. I just know it. I think there's entities messing with me in the morning, in the night or whatever. So yeah, so she was starting to enlighten about that. Okay, so well, actually, I guess I could say this story first. Okay, so after well, I didn't really hang out with her very long. I mean, just a couple times. So we probably just talked over 2 or 3 weeks, and that was about it. So she made that comment about she thought entities were messing with her in the night. And then I was having experiences like crazy too during that time. And then one time she called me up, and she told me about the experience that she just had. And this is when the Boston incident happened. And the Boston Marathon incident. And then she, what'd she say? She said, okay, what was the deal? Oh yeah, she said, anyway, this is how she perceived her incident. And at the time, I guess I was probably thinking, you know, it really was a ghost. Because this was in 2012, yeah, 2012, or was it 2013? Early 2013. Yeah, it was early 2013, actually. And, so yeah, so, she called me up, and then She said, guess what happened? Guess what happened? This was in 3D. This was an out-of-body experience or lucid dream. She said this black guy looked like a jogger. This black guy looked like a jogger. And from what she said, he was pretty dark skinned. And he was a black guy. He was dressed in a jogging outfit, you know, like shorts, t-shirt, all yellow, which yellow means caution. And he comes bobbling up to the door, and he even tried to. I think she said he tried to peck on the window first, and then he actually tried to like open the door, the knob. And I guess it probably did kind of scare her, as far as I remember. I think it did kind of scare her. Oh, this was in broad daylight, by the way, at noon time. This was in broad daylight at noon, and this is on the, you know, the other part of town, which is like 8 miles from me. And then she said that then he started bobbling back down the steps. She lived in this small little rental house, and it had some small little steps that went up to the front porch. So then he bobbled back down the steps, and she looked out the window, and he started bobbling like he was drunk. And then he even when she said there were some kids across the street that were playing, and that nobody could seem to really see him, you know, but her. But she did say, what'd she say? She said there was a truck that went by in the middle of the road, or, you know, the other side of the road or whatever. And that this black guy, he was actually an entity, you know, was walking, bobbling in the middle of the street. And I think she said that they could actually see him, that they did see him, because they kind of stopped, but they couldn't seem to hit him or anything. You know, because I guess they can just kind of be physical and non-physical, physical and non-physical, you know, at the same time. And so, okay, so then she said that he bobbled over and went over and walked down the sidewalk, and then he just fell down, and then he just disappeared. And there was a house right there that had been empty for quite some time. I think she said an old lady had died or something, and that house had been vacant for quite some time. So at the time, she thought that black guy was just like a spirit coming from that house. And so, and at the time, you know, I was still kind of enlightening to about how these aliens operate. Okay, so, because at the time, I think I did believe that for a few weeks, until I started to enlighten about what all of this was all about. Until I started thinking about all the experiences I had and all the experiences I was having at the time. You know, for the first few weeks, you know, or whatever, I kept thinking, I'm going to go try to go in that house, you know, and see if I can feel any energies, you know. You know, I thought about, like, you know, it'd be cool to walk around that house, or, you know, see if we can feel anything or whatever. But it wasn't a ghost. It wasn't a spirit. He was a freaking alien. Reptilian, and a lot of times they pose as black people. They do to me all the time, physically, in 3D and in non-3D. They like to come as black people and many other things. And to her, now I don't know if that was one of her personal beings or if it was one of my beings, but I believe it was probably just one of her beings that, you know, came with the package when she was born. And so anyway, and okay, so anyway, so she thinks that that, you know, the black reptilian alien, well, like I say, at first I think she did think it was you know, like a real physical person, and then later on she became to realize it was an entity. And then she believes that he was just trying to warn her of the incident that was about to happen, which was the Boston incident. And that happened like, oh, because this was like on a Saturday when the entity came to her, bobbling up the door, the black guy, reptilian alien. And that was like on a Saturday at noon. And then it was, the Boston incident happened like that Monday. And then that's when, you know, she was acting like, well, you know, like, yellow means caution, and so that entity, the reptilian alien, was just warning her that that was like about to happen. So that's all some interesting stuff. Okay, so, and also she made me, and there's still some things that I probably, my big enlightenment was 2012, but I've still had other little small enlightenments after that. And that's when she enlightened me to the fact that, look at it, you know, he's sitting there in a wheelchair, they're put, you know, after the Boston incident, he's sitting there in the wheelchair and they're pushing him around and he's holding his fucking vein. He's like, that don't make no sense. That's all fucking concocted and a hoax and blah, 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 blah. Because to tell the truth, when I, back then, when I would, you know, I wasn't thinking, I wasn't into psyops back then. You know, I just, if I would see something, yeah, I mean, I just automatically, I guess, you know, believed it or whatever. I never did think twice about it. You know, I never did think twice about it. I wasn't into psyops back then. I didn't realize that every fucking thing was a psyop. They do this like 3-4 times a month, and it's all fucking fake, hoax, stage psyops. It all is. They do about 3 major things per month. Maybe sometimes 1 time, maybe sometimes 3-4 times. At the time, I didn't give a shit about that. Okay, but I just remember, I don't know what caused the conversation. I just remember this dude in a wheelchair, you know, after the bombing incident, he was holding his fucking vein in his hands. And she was like, look at that. No, that can't happen like that. That's bullshit. It's all stage hoax and blah, 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 blah. Now, this woman was about 55 years old, and I was 39 or something like that or whatever. But, yeah, so she, you know, she just was more enlightened to that at the time, the psyops. Okay, so, trying to think any other significant thing, because we talked about a lot of stuff, but the major thing was, well, and I thought it was kind of funny too, because, I mean, I never told her I was a reptile hybrid or anything like that. But when I went over there, the moving truck, the U-Haul truck, it had a snake on it. You know, instead of like a bird or a deer, it had a painted snake on the side. And she's like, look. She said, look. And she looked at my name. I mean, she said my name. She's like, look, Zenith or whatever. A reptile's on the side of the, you know, the vehicle. I thought that was kind of funny because it's like she kind of already knew that I was a reptile hybrid, but she was way more demonic than me, man. But yeah, a lot of these hybrids, they're just evil bitches, and some are organic portals. That Cindy was a definite organic portal. I don't think this woman was, but Cindy was. But I know it's kind of more complicated than that. So that was just kind of funny because I didn't say anything. Oh, look at the snake, you know, on the side of the U-Haul truck. Because it's like she knew we both were like reptile hybrids. And, okay, so this other, well, anyway, so I'm gonna drink some water. But no, I mean, like back then when I saw shit on TV, I mean, I just naturally kind of, you know, whatever, you know, I didn't think anything twice. I didn't think, oh, should I believe that or not believe that? I mean, I didn't give a shit one way or the other. And somehow, I don't know if I made some comment or whatever, but she was like, no, that's all bullshit. You can't be walking around and holding the fucking artery in your fucking hands, you know? Okay, so, I got plenty of time. I'm getting you all riled up. Okay, I'll be done in a minute. Okay, so here's the very interesting thing. Okay, see, you know, a lot of these hybrids probably are having a hard time in this dimension. And, because my brother's one of them. Some of them aren't, but some of them are. And, this woman that I'm just telling you about, I don't know, I mean, I don't know where it stemmed from or whatever, but she obviously, when she was a little younger, well, this was like at least 10 or 15 years previous or longer before I met her. Like I say, when I met her, she was about 55, so when she was like 30, 35, something like that, she did try to commit suicide like twice. She told me all this. Okay, so she went into the hospital. Well, you know, I think she tried to drug overdose or whatever, and so they put her in the hospital. And well, the other thing she mentioned was just she moved around a lot too. But one time she was living in Texas and she worked for this place where they made fabric and stuff, and she realized, you know, all the chemicals and shit they're spraying on all these fabrics and stuff. And she said that she could feel vibes from the other people, like she could feel vibes like how she is enlightened and different from them. And yeah, I've gotten vibes like that too from people, like they somehow know you're different, you know what I'm saying? So she did make that comment, and at the time, to tell you the truth, I wasn't really, I mean, my nose wasn't quite like a freaking reptile like it is now. Now I smell chemicals and everything, so I smell everything before I buy them. And at the time, you know, I wasn't really enlightened to that fact that it's every freaking thing that they're spraying chemicals on. It's everything. And, okay, so that was another comment she made. And then, okay, like I say, when she was suicidal, and she ended up in the hospital, she said that, I assume she, you know, got into a groggy state. She got into a groggy state, obviously. And so got into that in-between Twilight Zone state where she probably fell asleep. In that split second before she fell asleep, boom, she saw pig-nosed reptilian aliens. They looked more human, just like this. And she said there was 6 of them walking around. Okay, okay, at this time she was already in the other dimension. She was already in the reptile dimension. And, you know, because that dimension just kind of overlaying this one. They weren't really in her room physically. I mean, not in 3D. They were in her room physically in the other dimension, where you know, because she was already in a dream state, so to speak. Okay, so she fell asleep basically, and then she, you know, opens her eyes, and she's already in this other dimension, and she's still in her hospital room, and there's 5 reptilian pig-nosed alien beings walking around her hospital room, and they're mimicking. She said that they're totally mimicking the other nurses, the non-alien nurses. She says that they were mimicking them, like, oh, like, la 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 la, la, I'm gonna go get a needle, la 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 la. She said they were mimicking. And so anyway, I started to watch Twilight Zones because I knew I'd probably find some good shit in these shows, even though they're really old. Yeah, they're kind of cheesy, some of them, because they're so old, and they say different words. But I think it's kind of cool how they lived back then, you know. And some of those, like, women, you know, you could tell a lot of them, you know, were not, well, some of them were, but some of them aren't, like, probably weren't seriously, you know, like MK Ultra like they are today, you know, the actresses like today. But, so anyway, something kind of cool about that era, 1959 or whatever. But, and of course some of the episodes are set back to like 1920s or whatever. But anyway, so basically she told me that about the pig-nosed reptilians. And now she thinks that Okay, because I told her that I didn't interpret it like that, but she thinks that that if she died, they really were going to take her. They really were going, like she was really going to that dimension where those pig-nosed reptilians hung out. She really thought that. And, I mean, that was her perception, and she really did believe that they were going to take her to, you know, if she really did die. And I told her, see, I was already having a lot of experiences, so I told her, I was like, no, that was just an experience. It was just an alien experience. You just had, you know, a reptile alien experience. It doesn't mean that they were really going to take you if you died or whatever. But no, she was convinced that they really were going to. But I told her, you know, it was just, you know, you had an experience. You fell into that groggy state and you went out of body basically, and you had an experience with these beings. It didn't really mean if you really died that they were going to take you to their dimension, you know, forever and ever. But she begged to differ. And, so anyway, I can't remember if I ever saw pictures of the pig-nosed reptilians before I met her. But as you could see, they're in this Twilight Zone episode, and they even make reference to that. They are not human. They make reference to that. And that they know that the other ugly people that look human are humans, you know, the pretty people. They inverted everything in this episode. The reptilians were beautiful and the humans were ugly. Okay, so, and like I say, I can't remember if I ever saw pictures of the pig nose, before I met her or not, but that's irrelevant. But here's the only other picture that I could find of one of the pig nose reptilian. And, oh, who was it? Somebody, what was that other, I thought somebody on Diabetic forums. Crap, I can't remember. I thought there was another comment I heard somebody say a long time ago. Well, I can't remember. I think it was on Diabetic forums. But anyway, so, but that's the only picture I could find. So it was her experience, and then I came across this picture, but I can't remember if it was before or after I met her. And then I just noticed how, some people actually have this pig nose. You know what I mean? Some humans. So they're probably pig-nosed hybrids. Reptilian hybrids like Taco, the singer. Okay, so, and like I say, they're in this, they make their appearance in this, well, of course they're, you know, fake, but they make their appearance, so to speak, in this Twilight Zone episode. And then, okay, I think there's one other thing I was going to say. About the, let's see, was I gonna say something else? Crap. Oh! Yeah, I was just gonna make a comment, to say that, okay, after hearing her experience that, you know, back in 2013, I heard her experience tell me about the pig-nosed reptilians, and because she was in a hospital, and she says that she saw these reptilian beings, well, you know, they were in another dimension, but they were still in the hospital, basically, just in another dimension. You know, they're unseen, of course, unless you get into that groggy state, then you could see them, like she did. Her first name was Gay, by the way, which is kind of funny. G-A-Y. And she wasn't gay at all. Yeah, she thought women were bitches, man. Okay, so anyway, so then, and then after seeing this episode of Twilight Zone, and all these pig-nosed reptilians are in a freaking hospital, and they're the nurses, doctors. Well, a lot of, in real life, most of them are just freaking demonic, organic portal minions. You know what I'm saying? But some of them probably are true hybrids. But then, you know, true hybrids, reptilian hybrids, or pig-nosed hybrids, whatever. But So then it makes me wonder in real life if these pig-nosed reptilian aliens, you know, interdimensionally, are really hanging out in hospitals. You know, it makes me wonder that. Okay, here we go. Oh, wait, where's the... Oh.
Austin says...
So anyway, that was the only comment, because I wouldn't have even done this video if I didn't come across these pig-nosed reptilians in the Twilight Zone, because they're all hanging out in the hospital. They're the nurses and the doctors.
Any difference at all? However, we're very hopeful for what this last treatment may have accomplished. There's no telling, of course, until we get the bandages off. I'm sorry your case is not one that we could have handled with plastic surgery, but your bone structure, flesh...
See, they're the nurses, they're the doctors, and they're in a hospital setting. And anyway, so it just makes me wonder if these beings, these pig-nosed reptilian aliens, are actually hanging out in hospitals, and maybe they really are taking some people, you know, when they die. But still, I mean, you're non-physical once you go to these other dimensions, so I don't see how you're gonna... I'm sure other forces, even if you end up there, I'm sure other forces can come get you and get you out of there. Well, I know they can, because they did me, the winged reptilian, when I went down to hell. Well, when the reptilian captured me and took me down to hell at 200 miles an hour, before he got me down to the bottom, very bottom part of the hell pit, which it don't get any lower than that, a winged reptilian, a winged, I think it was some kind of light warrior, a winged light warrior being, female, saved me. So yeah, I mean, so like, even if some of these people, you know, end up in that, you know, dimension, and like, who knows, I don't know, I mean, even if they did take, you know, take you to their dimension if you died in the hospital, I don't know, do they just want to sit there and do evil things to you? Like, I don't know if they're necessarily evil, you know what I'm saying? I don't know, but something to think about. Something to think about it when you're all bored. Well, like, that particular looking face don't look real nice to me. But anyway, I think it's just all kind of interesting. I mean, but yeah, it does make sense, you know, these, I mean, there's bad beings and there's good beings, and it makes sense. Of course you're going to want to hang out in a hospital if you're these interdimensional unseen beings. Of course you're going to want to hang out in a hospital, because that's where a lot of people are dying, so that makes sense. So, yeah, but I thought there, hold on, I think there's something else I was going to say about, something I heard or something. Well, anyway, something about hospitals and beings. Well, anyway, so just something to think about. Thanks for listening.